You're exhausted, and honestly, you have every right to be. You've been told since kindergarten that if you just put your head down, work harder than the person next to you, and grind until your eyes burn, the rewards will eventually start pouring in. But look at your bank account. Look at your stress levels. If hard work was the primary variable for wealth, every single construction worker and single mother working 3 jobs would be a multi-millionaire. The truth is much more uncomfortable. Your hard work isn't just failing to make you rich. It might actually be the very thing keeping you poor. You're trapped in a psychological loop that rewards activity over results. And until you break that cycle, you're just running faster on a treadmill that isn't connected to anything. The work hard narrative is a leftover relic of the industrial age. It was designed for a time when success meant showing up to a factory and moving widgets for 12 hours. In that world, more time equaled more widgets, which equaled more pay. But we don't live in that world anymore. We live in a digital, high-leverage economy where the market doesn't pay you for your sweat. It pays you for the difficulty of the problems you solve. When you pride yourself on the grind, you are subconsciously signaling that your time is your only asset. That is a dangerous lie. Wealthy people don't sell their time. They sell solutions, systems, and scale. If you are still measuring your productivity by how tired you feel at the end of the day, you aren't building a career, you're digging a hole. This brings us to the hamster wheel of modern employment. Think about your average day. How much of it is spent on busy action versus smart action? Busy action is reactive. It's clearing your inbox, attending meetings that could have been emails, and rearranging your to-do list for the 5th time. It feels like progress because you're moving, but it's horizontal movement. You're staying in the same place while getting exhausted. Smart action, on the other hand, is vertical. It's about building something once that pays you forever. Imagine 2 people. One spends 10 hours manually answering customer support questions. The second person spends those same 10 hours building an automated fax system or a chatbot that handles those questions for the next 3 years. At the end of the day, they both worked 10 hours. But the first person has to do it again tomorrow. The second person has just bought back their future dot to escape the wheel. You have to understand the leverage principle. In physics, a lever allows you to move a massive object with minimal force. In wealth creation, leverage is your force multiplier. If you're just using your own 2 hands, you have a ceiling. You can only work so many hours. You only have so much energy. This is like trying to cross the Atlantic in a rowboat. You can be the strongest rower in the world, but eventually you will collapse. The wealthy aren't better rowers there. Sailors, they spend their time building a mast and a sail to catch the wind. The wind in this analogy represents capital, code, media, or labor. These are the 4 types of leverage that allow your effort to be multiplied by a factor of 10, 100, or 1,000. Most people are terrified of leverage because it requires a period of invisible work. When you're rowing, you see the water moving immediately. When you're building a sail, it looks like you're doing nothing. You're stitching fabric, you're measuring wood, and you're staying at the dock while everyone else is out at sea. This is where most people quit. They think they're failing because they don't see an immediate return on their effort. But once that sail is up, you will pass the rowers so fast they won't even see your wake. Stop focusing on how hard you're pulling the oars and start asking yourself if you're building a sail. Are you creating assets that work when you don't? Are you using tools that scale your input? If the answer is no, then you aren't working toward wealth. You're just working toward a burnout that the market won't even remember. Building on that foundation of leverage, we have to address the why behind the money. Most people view wealth as a stroke of luck or the result of being cutthroat. But in the modern economy, wealth is actually a form of value reciprocity, or what I call strategic karma. Forget the mystical definitions for a second. In the marketplace, karma is simply the world's way of saying thank you for solving a problem that was too difficult, too boring, or too risky for anyone else to touch. If you aren't seeing the wealth you want, it's likely because you're offering a common value. If anyone can do what you do with 2 weeks of training, the world doesn't owe you a premium. To change your financial karma, you have to change your rarity. This is where skill stacking becomes your ultimate competitive advantage. Most people try to be the best in the world at one specific thing, the top 1% of accountants, or the top 1% of graphic designers. That's nearly impossible. The wealth karma act is to become the top 20% in 3 or 4 different overlapping skills. If you're a decent writer, you're a commodity. If you're a decent writer who understands data analytics and basic psychology, you are a unicorn. You've stacked your skills to create a unique value offer that the market literally cannot find anywhere else. You aren't working harder. You're just becoming more expensive to replace. When you are rare, the world's thank you in the form of capital becomes significantly louder. You have to stop being a good person in the generic, passive sense and start practicing strategic karma. In a use-centric, high-speed market, being nice isn't a value proposition, being useful is. Strategic karma means you are intentionally placing yourself in the path of high-leverage problems. You are looking for the bottlenecks in other people's businesses or lives and clearing them. When you provide that kind of high-leverage value to the right people who already have their own sails up, the reciprocity isn't just linear, it's exponential. One thank you from a person with massive leverage can change your entire life trajectory. This isn't about sucking up. It's about being so undeniably effective at solving high-stakes problems that the market feels a psychological debt to compensate you. However, even if you master skill stacking and start attracting that wealth karma, most people still fail because they have a leaky bucket. This is the boring growth phase, financial discipline. In the US, we are bombarded with lifestyle creep. The moment we make an extra $1,000, we lease a better car or upgrade the apartment. We trade our newly found leverage for temporary status. This is the ultimate trap. If you spend everything you earn to look like you've made it, you are actually just handing your leverage back to the system. You're trading your sail for a shiny new set of oars. True financial discipline isn't about deprivation. It's about buying your freedom back. Every dollar you save and reinvest into your skills or your assets is a soldier working for you while you sleep. Most people work for their money, but wealthy people make their money work for them. If you can't manage $100, you will never be able to manage $100,000. Universe and the market doesn't give more responsibility to those who can't handle what they already have. You have to prove you can maintain the vessel before you're given a bigger ocean to sail. This discipline is what adds massive credibility to your journey. It turns a get-rich dream into a stay-wealthy reality. All of this effort, leverage, the skill stacking, the financial discipline is completely worthless if your compass is broken. In the U.S., we have a cultural obsession with the hustle, but we rarely talk about the where. You can be the most disciplined, high-leverage worker in the world, but if you are running 100 miles per hour in the wrong direction, you are actually moving further away from your goals than the person who is standing still. Direction beats effort every single time. Think of it this way. If you're trying to find the North Star, but you're staring at the southern horizon, it doesn't matter how expensive your telescope is or how long you stay awake looking. You will never see it. Most people are terrified to stop and audit their direction because it feels like losing time. They would rather stay busy in a dead-end job or a failing business than admit they need to pivot. This is a psychological sunk cost fallacy that keeps you poor. You feel like you've invested too much hard work into your current path to change now. But the karma of wealth doesn't care about your past sacrifices. It only cares about the value you are providing right now. If your current path has a low ceiling, no amount of grinding will break through it. You have to be willing to be a beginner again in a high-leverage direction rather than staying an expert in a low-leverage one. The final visual I want you to carry is this. Imagine two men. The first man is sprinting with everything he has, sweat pouring down his face, lungs screaming for air. He is doing exactly what society told him to do, but he's running toward a cliff. The second man is walking slowly, pausing to check his map and adjusting his boots. He looks lazy to the sprinter, but that second man is walking toward a gold mine, who is actually working harder. The man who exhausts himself for nothing, or the man who uses his brain to ensure his steps actually count. Stop being the sprinter. Before you start your next hard work session, I want you to sit in total silence for 10 minutes and audit your direction. Ask yourself, if I do exactly what I'm doing today for the next 5 years, will I be where I want to be? If the answer is no, stop running. The world doesn't reward the most tired person. It rewards the person who figured out where the lever was and had the courage to push it. Your wealth isn't waiting at the end of a marathon of struggle. It's waiting at the intersection of the right direction and the right leverage. Change your direction today or get comfortable exactly where you are.